All right, hi everyone. So we're going to talk about incidents. Why? Because we all have incidents. Some of them are big, like the time I couldn't get tickets to see Taylor Swift. I'm still bummed about that. Some of them are smaller, but can possibly end up as a death by 1,000 cuts situation, like our buddy Elon over at Twitter.
Buddy is a strong word.
Buddy is a strong word. Regardless of the size of the incident, though, often in our industry, we view incidents as a distinct event, when in reality, they are not. I believe that incidents are part of a life cycle, or the circle of incidents. First, you have a system, for example, Ticketmaster. Then something happens, say Taylor Swift decides to go on tour. Tons and tons of people try to access the system. The system fails, and now you're in an incident. People work on it and it's resolved and life is back to normal. But ideally, you do something after the incident, something focused on learning. And even if you don't think that you're doing any traditional learning, folks naturally like to talk and they like to debrief. So the post-incident activity can be a chat with your coworkers after the incident, while you're getting lunch, while you're getting drinks. It could be your post-mortem meeting. It could be the incident report that you then share with like your shareholders or your CTO or whatever. In the case with Ticketmaster, there was actually even a congressional investigation.
Watch some of that on C-SPAN.
Nerd alert. So those learnings are then applied back to the system. So maybe we make a change to our on-call schedule, maybe we make a change to the way that we enqueue our customers, or even make changes to our antitrust legislation. Those changes, plus when you add new load, we now have a new system. So when the next incident comes along, we will then work off of that new socio-technical system. And so the cycle, the circle begins again. That is the third Taylor Swift song reference that I've made today, by the way. And because we're a rapidly growing industry, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of incidents. But the learning part will enable us to better handle future ones, which hopefully means that some of y'all got tickets to see Beyonce.
I didn't.
Yeah. But we have both seen firsthand how once we start paying attention to the second half of that incident life cycle, to that circle of incidents, we can make change happen. We can improve the conditions under which we all work. We can focus on our socio-technical system, train responders more effectively, improve our tools and processes, and even change org charts and try out new technologies.
I'm glad that my notifications are turned off. All right. Investing in the second half of that circle of incidents is also going to improve the first half of the circle. I have worked in multiple organizations that thought, well, if we just get response solid, then we can worry about incident analysis.
After.
Yeah, that's a problem for later. But without taking time to talk about how response went, it's so much harder to uncover the parts of the process that get in our way, the places where people are filling gaps in tooling, and things that just don't make sense anymore because of our scale. Does anybody know what this is?
I don't.
You can say it. Yes, I also had to Google how to pronounce it. It's kintsugi. It is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold and other precious metals. It actually highlights the flaws of the piece. As a philosophy, kintsugi treats breakage and repair as part of the history of an object rather than something to disguise. A kintsugi piece that has been broken and repaired is often more valuable than the same type of pottery that was never broken in the first place. Our systems are going to break. It is part of the circle of development, but analysis is what makes it easier for us to find the cracks in our socio-technical systems so that we can do something about them and make all of this a little bit easier. So who's going to do this work? We have here an incident commander and an incident analyst. Now, Mattel does not actually make incident commander and incident analyst Barbies, which I was really surprised to find out, so these are just visual representations.
Somebody will.
Yeah, if it helps, we have both done these roles, and obviously you can see the common theme is jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing jumpsuits if they're doing incident commander analysis, and if you don't know about that, we're going to tell you about it. I'm going to add a disclaimer here. Not every organization has folks dedicated to each of these roles. We are very aware of that. If they do, they might not be called incident commander or incident analyst, but we are going to explore how these different skills are necessary for incident command versus incident analysis and how each of these practices can bring us joy in different ways. So we've both done these roles. Vanessa, how did you get here?
Wow, thank thank you for asking, Emily.
Love to.
So I currently work at jelly.io.
Oh my God, me too.
What a coincidence.
Oh my gosh.
So I help organizations establish and improve their incident programs. I've spent the last decade in tech and SRE focusing on incidents. And when I say incidents, I mean the entire life cycle of it. So I've been the only incident commander on call for years. I've owned the escalation process. I've trained others. I've ran retrospective learning from incident programs. Most importantly, I've scaled them. That's the difficult part, actually. And I truly, truly believe that we have to do better in helping those roles be prepared to succeed. Because we can't sit somewhere and expect only one person to own the resolution, the learnings, the next steps, the social transformation that comes from incidents. That's a lot of work for only one woman wearing a pink jumpsuit.
It is.
Now, Emily, how did you get started?
I'm so glad that you asked me, Vanessa. I have a slide prepared to talk about it. I also work at Jelly, teaching people how to make the most of their incidents. It's crazy. What a coincidence. I have been in the industry for over a decade as well. My path to these roles is more like a spiral staircase, and I'm not yet sure whether it's going down or up. But I came into incidents through support back when metrics and alerting were not something that we spent a lot of time investing in, and I learned very quickly how to identify the signs of an incident, and I asked a lot of questions. And since then, I have been on call for every incident at more than one company for several years, sometimes more than one company at a time. Acquisitions are a lot of fun. I have revamped incident analysis processes, secretly overhauled severity using social engineering and guerrilla tactics. I have owned and created IR bots, rolled out new response processes, trained everyone on all of it several times over, and then I found out that incidents could be your whole job and not just a side gig. And so I became a dedicated incident commander and ended up spinning up a team of 12 other incident commanders located around the world. And guess what? We created new processes and we trained people on it, and we brought in new tooling, and then we created new processes and we trained people on it. That's what scaling it is. It's just those things over and over again. So let's talk about it. All of this to say, Vanessa and I have been through it. As someone who has been an incident commander and trained incident commanders, let's talk about what matters when you are an incident commander. First off, I don't like the title incident commander, but as a woman in tech, I will take as much authority as a title can lend me, but I will spend the next several minutes trash talking the title incident commander. So I am going to tell you the very super secret way to be an effective incident commander. You do not do any commanding. You are not even fixing the thing that's broken. Incident command is about managing coordination. You are thinking on your feet, you're listening, you're keeping track of time, you're keeping track of all of the moving pieces in the incident process. You are facilitating communication, you're asking questions, you're keeping people engaged, you're finding help, you're translating to other parts of the organization, you're sending emails, you're writing status posts, and you're conducting that collaboration. You are recognizing different hypotheses and sometimes reminding responders to prioritize mitigation over remediation, because it doesn't always have to be an elegant solution. Sometimes it just needs to work for now. Actually, I met Sarah Butt.
It's right here.
Eye contact. At SREcon last year, and we started talking about how hard it is to try and teach the hyper awareness that you gain as a seasoned incident commander, where it's not just the problem to be solved and the people and resources needed to do it, but the ability to step back and see all these working pieces of response as its own system. So you're looking at what it's made up of, how those different pieces inform its functionality, and you, as an incident commander, are troubleshooting that microcosm of a socio-technical system that is this very specific incident response, and your job is to try and make it work. So a better term might be incident manager, incident facilitator, incident conductor, troubleshooter of socio-technical systems, so it doesn't really roll off the tongue.
A lot of words.
Or professional cat herder, which is one that I preferred for quite some time. Vanessa, what does Kris Jenner have to say about what we should call incident analysts?
I think Kris Jenner would say that incident analysis is a case for the FBI.
This is a case for the FBI.
It's a case for the FBI. For those of you who don't know who Kris Jenner is, she's a Kardashian.
It's a good reference, I promise.
Once the incident is over, I love y'all. Once the incident is over, when you're an analyst, you're trying to uncover what led to the incident to happen the way that it did. Actually, me and some folks over at Jelly, we wrote and published a free guide, free 99, that explains in more detail what it means to be an analyst and do this work. You can read it if you like this talk or even if you didn't. It's very thorough. It's called the How We Guide, short for How We Got Here. You can read it for free on our website, www.jelly.io. There's some HTTPs in there as well.
HTTPS://
Anyway, so as an analyst, it's your job to do some investigative work. In order to learn from an incident, you're going to be reviewing some data. You're going to be reviewing maybe Slack transcripts, Zoom transcripts, pull requests, org charts, love letters, whatever you want to call them. You're going to be asking people to share their experiences from their point of view. Maybe you do that during interviews, maybe you do that during the postmortem, regardless. You're creating timelines, you're creating narratives, and you're sharing those findings with others, because it doesn't matter if you did an awesome job and it just stays with you, right? Like, you need to share them with others. You're also looking for connections. You're looking for those interesting tidbits. Anything that sticks out during response, maybe something that caused confusion, struggles to find someone who knew about a specific technology. Guess what? It's always somebody who worked on it like 10 years ago. You're looking for when responders spiraled on making a decision. Oh no, should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know. And you're doing all of that so you can ask people about those experiences, and you're helping surface some insights about your organization. All of this takes a lot of work. All of this takes trust, street cred, a positive attitude. It requires treading carefully with blame awareness, or blameless, whatever you want to call it, and a sensitivity to your responders' experiences, as well as the context that's surrounding them.
Wow, that sounds great, Vanessa. I'm gonna go just do that now.
You're gonna go do this now?
Yeah, right now.
So Emily, and maybe you folks here, you might be thinking, Vanessa, this is awesome. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna make my team adopt incident analysis as part of the incident life cycle. We're gonna do it all.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but beware. Chrissy Teigen is here to tell you that there's ways that this can go wrong.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I'll tell you more. All right, so the first way we see this is expecting the incident commander or the incident conductor to do it all. It makes sense to want the incident commander to also own the retrospective process. After all, they know what happened, but there's a few reasons why you may not want to do that. Number one is that we've already explained how response and analysis are different skills. And if we're not teaching these skills and ensuring that the ICs have them, we are setting them up for failure.
Crying.
Yeah. Terrible. We want folks who not only are trained on troubleshooting, on herding cats, but are also trained on interviewing techniques, on blame-aware culture, on knowledge elicitation. Number two is that having a person so closely involved in an incident also be the analyst is going to bias the investigation. I've personally been guilty of that, so has Em. Facilitating incident reviews where maybe I ended up highlighting things from my personal experience, which left me blind to some of the other socio-technical factors in the incident. So maybe I focus only on the response effort. I go to my meeting and I have my agenda and I'm like, you know what, we're gonna talk about pager duty. And after a while, I realized that I may be making my incident reports inaccessible to others, inaccessible to new folks at our organization. They don't even know what these acronyms mean. They don't even know how this escalation took place. And this is sometimes inevitable, especially at smaller companies, but I always recommend spreading the wealth across different individuals if possible. We also see a problem in certain teams where one person is on call for a set amount of time. So say like Emily here, you're on call this entire week. That means that you are firefighting. That means that you're answering all of the pages and you're also in charge of learning.
I don't want to.
That's a lot of work. It's like that Isle of Lucy situation, right? If you're in charge of fighting fires and learning from them all week long, when it rains, it pours, and something's got to give. And what's going to end up happening is you're in charge of responding to all of the incidents, but you're going to drop the learning part of it, and that's what we don't want. So as you're putting together your analysis program, you want to make sure that it's a sustainable one for those driving it, and that it includes giving folks the right tools and the sufficient time to do it correctly. The next way I've seen this go sideways is expecting one team to do it all. And this is SREcon, and we all know that SREs are basically the Power Rangers of the organization.
I want to be the yellow one.
I'm going to be the pink one, obviously. So maybe you decide that incident analysis is going to be part of the SRE team. And you know what? Starting off with one team makes sense. You always want to experiment. But again, this is not sustainable, and it's a recipe for burnout. Having a team that owns a program doesn't mean that they're doing it all. You need everyone in your technology organization to be brought into the process. I've seen this work a couple of ways. I've seen maybe sometimes a SRE team owns doing postmortems for like all of the P0s. But they're also establishing process so that product teams can follow for the lower priority incidents. So everybody is involved in this work. Or maybe even if you only have one team doing all of the incident reviews, regardless of priority, regardless of how impacting they are, you want to make sure that you're including different points of views. Otherwise, the quality is going to be low. You know what? A lot of leadership will come and say, you know what, we're really busy. We really need our product teams to be focusing on building new features. And I think that's BS. I've seen tremendous success at organizations where leadership actually makes it clear that engineers have to prioritize attending learning reviews. They have to prioritize collaborating throughout the process, answering interview questions, even finishing up their JIRA tickets. This then leads to an environment where other parts of the organization, such as product, marketing, support, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to include, they all make learning from incidents a part of how they do their work, because a sustainable program accounts for everyone to be involved in it. Finally, I see folks expecting this work to be easy. When I first became an analyst, I was given a template. And I'm sure many folks in this room also work off a template.
I've worked off and written templates.
I've written templates, but my templates are always great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy, right? You write down all of your questions, then you just fill it out during the postmortem, and then you're done.
You're done.
You're done. But the same way that you can't get the impact of the Mona Lisa here from a paint-by-numbers sketch, you also can't expect the same outcome from a thorough engineering-led collaborative review to be the same that you would get from like a template filling session where you review the 5 whys and you end up saying like, hey, guess what? The root cause was human error, and the action item is we're going to tell AWS to never, ever, ever fail again.
And they said they wouldn't, so.
And we believe them.
Yeah.
When teaching folks how to run postmortems, instead of giving them a template, I actually have them focus on the story of how an incident came to be. We learn from incidents through narrative storytelling, and we talk about narrative storytelling for a reason. For all of written human history and before, we as humans have passed on information through stories. It's how we learn lessons, and it's how we relay the details and context of important events. The ways we tell a story matter in what we learn from them. And here's how I like to tell the story of an incident. This is actually Jelly's narrative builder feature. We show you a graphical representation of how folks experience the incident, making it clear that an incident is never like, oh, we found a bug, we reverted it, and then we're back to normal. Here we see the confusing moments. Maybe when we realized that we needed to escalate to another team. Maybe when we realized like, oh, we need to call that person that worked on this team 10 years ago and they actually know what's going on. Maybe when we went back to the detection phase halfway through the incident because we realized that the charts we were looking at were the wrong ones. Maybe we show the part where millions of Taylor Swift fans are like tweeting like mad and the support staff is overloaded.
Support people.
We include these moments because they impact how the incident happened. And because they're opportunities for us to learn and for us to improve our socio-technical systems. So then the next time that an incident comes along, and there's always going to be an incident, we are better prepared to handle it. So now Em's gonna put it all together.
Yes. Oh man, dozens of pixels in that GIF, I love it. So these skills can inform each other. Vanessa and I clearly have a lot of experience doing both of these jobs, sometimes simultaneously, which again, we do not recommend. Unless you have people volunteering to burn out and cry a lot, which I hope you don't. But these are separate sets of skills. They cross-pollinate really nicely. I think that we both agree when I say that being an incident commander made me a stronger analyst and being an incident analyst made me a stronger commander.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about bringing some of our analysis skills into response. This is Ted Lasso. I owe him money for the amount of times I've used this GIF.
I think he owes us money because we're advertising for their show.
Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus Wednesdays. I have started so many incident review meetings with this phrase to help folks get into that joyful spirit of inquiry, where we are seeking to learn and understand, that we are not there to tell people what they should have done or even harshly judge our own actions. That curiosity leads us to incredible conversations that rewrite everyone's mental models of the systems and deeper understanding of not just the decisions that we made, but how we even got to the crossroads to make those decisions. Once I started using this in incident review meetings, I found myself telling myself this during response. I have commanded a lot of incidents where this is my first interaction with this team ever. And I don't know anything about their service, their team, how either one works, what they do. And if you don't approach that situation with a curiosity to understand, to find out where and how they need help to get through this problem, then you are not going to build any trust or goodwill, and you are certainly not going to mitigate the issue any faster. So be curious, not judgmental.
Wednesdays on Apple TV+.
Now, bringing response skills into analysis is something I've done quite a bit as well. So as an incident commander, you have to think on your feet. You are helping support find workarounds, you're assessing hypotheses, you're helping the team understand when to try experiments, when to recalculate and make the decision to abandon some of those experiments if they're not working. You learn how to pivot. You keep one foot planted and you turn to get the other perspective, right? That's literally the definition of pivoting. Thank you, that's beautiful.
I play basketball.
Is that something that happens in basketball?
I think so.
No, we're learning today. It took me a long time as an incident analyst to learn that I needed to bring this skill of pivoting into my investigations and my review facilitation. You know, when you're doing some incident investigations and you start connecting the dots and forming theories, picking up on themes, making that like red string pinboard, the like Pepe Sylvia kind of situation. But then you start talking to more responders or gathering different data, and even sometimes not until you get in the review meeting, you find out that the thing that everyone is clamoring to discuss is not the thing that you thought was going to be important. And that's okay. We pivot. Incident analysis is not about curating the story that you want to tell. It is not about action items, it's not about RCAs. We are helping people learn more about how our systems work and how they break so that whatever we do going forward is informed by this new information. Sometimes we also have to help people pivot in learning reviews too, just like during response, when you need to be able to recognize that we're heading down a branching path or chasing after red herrings. It's also important to recognize when the review has gone down a rabbit hole and 2 or 3 folks are going very deep on a technical point, or maybe 2 people from legal are talking through the intricacies of FCC reporting, and call it out. And it's not to call it out with shame or anything like that. Just ask the folks in the review meeting, do we want to stay on this topic? Do we feel like this is the most important path for us to take right now? Or do we want to let this conversation go hang out in the parking lot and we'll come back to it later, schedule another time to go pivot back to it?
Parking lot is your best friend.
I love the parking lot. So, this is the last one. Building relationships is the foundation to all of this. And I know that this is not RuPaul's Best Friends race, and that you should not have to be friends with the people that you work with. And that is true. You are going to work with people that you do not like, and some people that you cannot stand. And that is not you. You're my friend.
You're my friend.
Okay.
I would pie someone for you.
I would key someone's car for you.
Don't say that.
I've been told to stop saying that. The highest functioning teams I have worked with and on have had one thing in common. They trust each other. And you can't just make trust happen. But if there's anything that I have learned from both incident command and analysis, it's that we are all just working with what we got, okay? I'm not even going to ask you to assume positive intent or believe that people are doing their best. It's not that. It is recognizing that no thought or decision that we make during an incident exists in a vacuum. We are whole people. All of us, every single one of us is a whole person. Going around, living our lives, sometimes we're on call, and there are barking dogs, and there's traffic, and there are twin toddlers, and there are broken water heaters, and there are sinus infections. All of the things happening around us are going to affect what we bring into an incident, whether we like it or not, especially in incidents, because everything is so heightened. Part of our job as commanders and analysts and people, but as commanders and analysts specifically, is to help people get through this shit and come out the other side for the better of it. So you do not have to be friends with your coworkers, but you do have to be friends with us. being a human person. Sorry, you don't have to be friends with us, but like later. You don't have to be friends with everyone, but be just a human person. If you are doing incident command, make it known when you are stepping away to go to the bathroom or pull a bee stinger out of your cat's face again or to grab a snack. It is the least weird way to give other folks in that incident that reminder that they have permission to still be people and to take care of themselves. If you are going into a really difficult incident review where a junior engineer accidentally deleted your entire company's domain records, talk to some senior engineers, get them to start the meeting talking about the first times they brought down production. We have to see each other as whole people trying to get through this together, and everything that we talked about today will get easier. So again, you don't have to be friends with your coworkers, you do need to be friends with us. We help make this work for other organizations, and we love talking to folks about their incidents and organizational culture around them. So we'll be at the Jelly booth if you want to come hang out with us.
Or talk to us on Twitter.
Oh yeah, we're on the internet also.
But come talk to us about incidents, because we just love this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we're supposed to end.
Yes.
It's over.